Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that we introduce our esteemed guest, Mr. Banwang Losu, the Executive Director. He is the Executive Director of Wancho Literary Mission and a dedicated teacher in Arunachal Pradesh. Mr. Losu is not only the author of the Wancho script, but also the founder of the Wancho Literary Mission, a remarkable NGO. With a background in linguistics and a string of prestigious awards to his name, including the Northeast Unsung Heroes Red Carpet Award and the Sant Eshwar Award, Mr. Banwang Losu is here to enlighten us about the fascinating journey behind the creation of the Wancho script. Joining him in this discussion are Dr. Umarani Papuswamy, the Deputy Director. You may give a round of applause. She is the Deputy Director of the Central Institute of Indian Languages, who specializes in computational linguistics and holds significant responsibilities there. And we will also be joined by Mr. Stephen Moray, virtually, an associate professor in the Department of Languages and Linguistics at La Trobe University, specializing in tribal languages in Assam. With their vast knowledge and expertise, we are in for a captivating conversation about the Wancho script and linguistic exploration. Let us welcome them once again with an enthusiastic round of applause. I now invite Mr. Banwang Losu to present his session.
Connection to point, PowerPoint. Very good morning, everybody, and honorable tourist guests of honor, and Madam Sentila and co-host team, and Dr. Oliveira sir. Thank you for coming. And Oma Madam, other distinguished guests and participants. So, my name is Banwang Losu. I'm going to present here what I am doing for my language. So now, I belongs to Arunachal Pradesh, and this red spot is my place, Longding. We are having near about 56,000 populations, and having 67 villages in Longding district. Wancho is a major tribe in Arunachal Pradesh. And Wancho language falls under Tibeto-Burman language. And we are having upper, lower, and maiden Wancho. And we have some differences in tone, but we understand the language. So in common, it is Wancho language. There's no difference in upper, maiden, and lower. And broadly, we divided into two groups. That is tongue and sung. We have two varieties in Longning district. This is the map, just rough, not to that scale. So, the chronology of the Wancho script development led us to why and how it is. While I was in class 11 standard in 2001, we, with the senior teachers, working on the socio-economics of the Wancho. And the data was collected in English, and later I tried to translate it into Wancho language using Roman letter. Then I found that Roman is not working to write our sounds. Since then, I started research on the phonetics of Wancho, and there was nobody to help me who knows about the phonetics of our language. So it took a very long time to research all the sounds of Wancho. Here, at the beginning, I started collection of word lists. Near about 2,000 words I have collected. In that, which sound is not present in the Roman letter, I separated it and represented with the symbols. After almost 12 years of research, I shared my research work paper to my friends, and they immediately understand what is the need of this script, and they started helping me for the seminar, workshop, conference to conduct in the Longning district in several places. That was really the great moment which boosted up my research paper at the time. And this is the photographs when we started a workshop on my research paper. It was in 2012. And this is on the 9th of February 2012. Then, there was only the 29 letters when I did research. After conducting a workshop conference in several places, and more letters came up, which I missed during my research. And now we have 44 letters in Wancho script. This is the orthography of Wancho script. Here we have 44 letters. And to work on this script development, we need one platform. So we formed the interim committee under Wancho Literature Mission, NGO, and it was registered in 2015. And several times we met the politicians, the local leaders in Arunachal to discuss about the matter, how we can implement this in the school curriculum since 2012. But it is very, very hard to convince them why we need this kind of education in the schools. Later, the central government pressurized them. Then only they focus, oh, this is also something we should do. Then only they focus on our language. After 2018, and I was asking them since 2012, this is the problem we are facing still. So many things to be done, but still we are facing. So we met the then Education Minister of Arunachal Pradesh and discussed about the matter. This is the first book published in 2013, the Wancho script. It is available online in Amazon. Along with the book, I made one video also. This is for teaching purpose. By saying this video, all the basic can be understood by anybody, the students and the parents too. So our script, the Wancho script, is not plagiarized and copied from other script. This is independent and new creation. So it could be similar in looks, but it is quite different and unique from other script. So it is designed like it should be smooth in writing, and it should not space occupied large space. So I keep all this thing in writing. This is sample. So this is how I develop the character, the script. So when you see this is the feather, hornbill feather. Yesterday we have already seen this in headgear when chanting here. So this is culturally significant for us, and everybody can understand seeing this. So I took this hornbill feather as letter R. This R is for Auga. In my language, Auga means hornbill. So out of this hornbill feather, letter R. And another you see on the right side, here is the flame. We call it bun. So this ba comes from this bun. This way, this letter is designed. I will not explain all this. Here you can see the bird. So in my language, the bird is O. O. So I put here the head of bird. That's O. Everybody can easily understand and memorize. So character, the script comes from these samples. Some are cultural significance. Say these days nobody is practicing. Here you can see a lady. Her in this American court novel has a tattoo plus symbol. Now people are not practicing. It is losing. That's why I wanted to document this kind of. That's why this letter comes from this plus sign. Similarly, all these characters are somewhere connected with the culture of our Wancho. We have 15 vowels and 29 consonants and 1 glottal stop. Total 44 letters. So some people used to ask me, why do you make 44 letters? Why not 26 and less than 26 like other Roman scripts? This is how I got the questions in many places. The thing is that this letter is not made according to my wish, because the sounds already exist in our language, is made by our forefathers. So I only research and gather how many sounds are there in my language. Accordingly, I put the symbol. So we have 44 sounds. So what should I do then?
So sorry about this pause. Mr. Stephen Moray is unable to view his presentation, so we're just fixing this quick technical glitch.
Should I minimize it? Sorry for interruption. So thing is that I cannot reduce or increase the sounds existing in my language. That's why we have 44 letters. Some people used to ask, why do you need a script? This is the big question. See, we have the tones, and tones cannot be written by Devanagari or Roman or other scripts. This was the big issue. That's why we need to develop new script. First attempt, I started with Roman, but it was not working. That is why I developed this for other languages also, not only for Wancho, who have the tonal language, they can also use this script. So up to 7 tones our script can write. We have this kind of symbols, diacritic marks to identify the sound's intensity. If the sound is low, there is no tone marker. If it is medium sound, it has 1 tone marker. And it is high, then there will be double tone marker. And you see here, one is long and another is dot. So we have 2 varieties of language, upper and lower Wancho. So for upper Wancho we use the long tone marker, and the lower Wancho we use the tone marker. This is just example. So to understand, I made this low, medium, and high. We can understand by using this 3 finger. Just for example, how tone variety is here. Say, you see here, this is neck. We say my. Then good is my. Then 12, my, little bit different. Then mid, this my. When you see, this is like a harmonium sound. My, something like that sound is. So it is not possible to write the sounds using other script. You can see this, the graph, the differences of this sound. Here, my, you see the graph format I used to make in plot. So this is also another example. Here, low is soy, near. Soy, vegetable. Soy, slant. Soy. This is the sound. So in schools, I started in 2016 to teach in the school. At that time, there was nothing, no study materials I had. I used printed in the A4 paper and distributed to the students and started class in my school. During the class, and this was the first examination conducted in my school in 2016. And later, I appointed 20 teachers to teach Wancho language, and it was supported by one organization, that is Seva International. And the book was printed by Tata Steel CSR. So I got some help in 2019. And this is the team who proposed for Unicode in 2017, and we got that Unicode acceptation in 2019. Now it is access online. We can use in mobile phone, in the Facebook and computer and a WhatsApp, anywhere we can use, because it is accepted in Unicode, that's why. And I made one app also for the basic learner. We can download this app from the Play Store, and we used to learn using this app, the basic sounds and the letter for the beginners. We also use conduct training program every year for 1 month. This is the picture during the training program. This is the classroom. Activities in the classroom. It was very intensive program, that's why we do at night also. And all other people, expert people, we cannot invite them, and they have no time. That's why we used to take conference online. This is the professor from Arunachal University, and this is Stephen More. Today we have online. He used to take class in our workshop. Even the small children are taking part in this workshop, and they used writing. They started writing in the tender days. This is editing and printing and binding the books. It looks this way. The simple books we have printed, which submitted to the government for final printing. Issued the certificates after workshop. This is the first primer book published and launched in 2019 on 16th February in Oriya Festival at Longding. And the second book launched in Itanagar on 5th September 2021 in the presence of Chief Minister, Education Minister and Secretary Education. So now our book is introduced in school curriculum, but the problem is that we are still facing for the teacher. The government of Arunachal Pradesh Education Department has printed books, distributed to the school, but there's no teacher to teach the book. This is the big problem. So this is also the question. Why do we need to study our mother tongue? This common question I used to get everywhere. Why should we study mother tongue? Other languages are popular. Why don't we adopt other languages? Why focusing back? This is the question. So in my opinion, like Swami Vivekananda said, loss of culture is loss of identity. And it seems for me, loss of language is loss of value. Loss of language is loss of value. You go to school to learn language. You go to college and university to learn language. When you learn language, you acquire knowledge. When you acquire knowledge, you become wise. When you become wise, you are a valuable person. So, language gives you value. That value is in your mother tongue. I'm not talking about my mother tongue, my language only. Every language has equal value. So we should not lose any language of the world. This is very important because their knowledge, the confined particular area knowledge is with them. And we have to understand that knowledge too. So language has value, and that makes you valuable. Now, there are a lot of languages which are under threat and in danger. When we come to India, see, Northeast is the hub of language. We have so many languages. Some are not yet identified. You see the unknown languages, the sub-languages. Nobody knows about that. But it is supposed to be extinct because nobody takes care of that. It is not applicable in any education system. And the young generation is not using. So it is under threat and danger. So to safeguard, to document, to make it use is our responsibility. We have 187 endangered languages in India. Out of that, 64 languages are only in Northeast. When we see in Arunachal, there are 33 languages on the endangered list. So we have to hurry, very hurry, to document all these things. What I am thinking about is we need to use AI. That is, artificial intelligence is very, very important to document our languages. Like text to text. When you write in your language, it will be converted into other language in written form. And text to speech. If you write, it will be converted into voice and speech. And another one is speech to speech. When you speak in your own mother tongue, that will be converted into English, Spanish, Japanese, and other languages. Very important. And speech to text. When you speak, it will become written form using AI. This way, just for example, if you type in English, it converted into several languages. This is for phone call. If you're calling in Jakesan, that will be translated into Angami, Sema, Rengma, Form, Konyak, Lat, Lota, and Ao. How beautiful it would be if we met this kind of. You will never leave your own mother tongue because it is applicable for communication. You will speak in your own language only. So, most important for us is speech to text. If we develop such kind of technology very soon, then our forefathers, grandparents, who never went to school, can also write volumes of books because they have to speak only in front of the machine and computer. That will record it into written form automatically by the machine. So the people who have wide knowledge of our culture, system, they can write, they can document very easily. And after documented, they will not be able to read that book. Then what will happen? We will develop another software, another technology that is text to speech. When you put the text into the machine, it will read out loudly. They will not read, they will just listen and understand what is written in that book. So, all the people will start using this and your mother tongue will not be longer in danger. Everybody is using and your exam paper is coming in your own language. You are giving interview in your own language. Then you're using that, your own mother tongue. What is the threat? No fear of extinction. So we need to focus on this kind of technology for the future. For that, we have so many platforms. The UNESCO and Madam Imasi. We have to think about that. For that, we need manpower and time as well as fun. Because this technology is going to be used in future. If you want or not, that's another issue, but new generation is going to use this technology. So why don't we start today before losing our knowledge, having with our grandparents? They have no time. So we need to document them. It is very urgent in my opinion. So I request all the audience, this is very urgent. We have to discuss on this matter. So I'm not taking much time because we have to discuss. Discussion is more valuable than this presentation. Thank you. Employ.
Men boy, Mr. Wancho, for your lovely presentation. And now we would like to have Mr. Stephen Morey, Professor Stephen Morey, virtually. He will be joining us virtually and he will be presenting his piece.
Let's just leave it.
Yeah. Can you now hear and see me? Yeah, now there is one problem because when when I speak, I am also hearing the echo of my speaking.
Hello, Stephen, there seems to be an echo. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, not very well, but I can hear you. There was an echo. Is the echo still there?
Can you speak now?
Yes, I'll speak now. I am hearing the echo quite badly, but now it seems to be gone. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Excellent. Okay. So, as I was listening to Banwang presenting his excellent presentation here from my living room in Australia, I was first thinking about how much we have seen an increase in the involvement in research on language and work for language in so many different communities in Northeast India during the 30 years that I have been involved in researching languages. So I started my research in October 1996 amongst the Thai Pake and Thai Aiton people in Assam state, but since then have done some researches on many languages. But the biggest change that has happened in that time is people like Banwang Losu, he is certainly not the only one, who is doing work for the preservation of his own language. Because I think it's important to say that language will only be preserved if people continue to speak it. Yes, it is important that we make a document, that we record language as it is being spoken today in all the different villages of the whole Naga area or the whole Patkai range. Let's just confine our expectations to the Patkai ranges right now. That will be enough. But that whole range that runs between India and Burma, having so many different languages, we should try to make a record of all the different ways that people are speaking there. But the most important thing is to keep speaking language. Now, I have not prepared slides for today, but I made some notes, and if I can, I will try to present what I have just noted for people to see. Should be that one. Now, hopefully you can now see on the screen, or will be about to see on the screen, just some notes I made. I said I have written notes on Banwang's session. I think you can see it. But maybe it's too small. This is just something which I was writing down as I was listening to what Banwang was saying. And let us just very briefly revise some of the main points that he indicated about the creation of his script. Firstly, it was necessary because the Roman script was not suitable. I will come back to that point shortly. And Banwang pointed out the time it takes to work out the sound system, that 44 symbols were needed to cover all the different sounds in the different varieties of Wancho. So I have sat with Banwang here in Australia, also in Assam, also in Longding district, and we have discussed the sound system of his own variety, which he speaks in his home village at Kampanokno, but also about other Wancho varieties. And in order to write these adequately, Banwang has established that 15 vowel symbols and 29 consonants are needed. And he showed you about the video. You should all have a chance to see his wonderful video about the script. And he also mentioned about the community-based education that is going on. But I did also want to say a little bit about how the script was developed. Banwang showed you and explained how he took some culturally significant symbols and used these to craft the letters that he has created. But in fact, in the business of creating scripts in the Patkai Ranges area, we see different systems. So I have also been working together with the Tangsa script, created since 1990 by the late Lakum Mosang, and he never really explained the basis behind his script. And it may be that, as is also the case with some other Naga scripts and with some other scripts used by hill tribes, we can say, in different parts of Asia, that it was a kind of inspiration, that it came to the Creator by whatever means, a divine inspiration, we could even say in some cases. So, and I have been thinking in recent weeks, not just about the form of these scripts and what the different letters mean, but the fact that most languages in the world do not usually get written at all. So most people in tribal villages, whether it is in India or in Burma or in other parts of Asia or in Australia or Africa or anywhere, most people in small villages where small languages are spoken generally do not write them at all. And if they do write them, they usually write them with a script that was invented for a different language. And this is something that we should remember. Most of us, in fact all of us, if we are using English or Assamese or Bengali or even the Hindi script, the Nagari script, though it is a little less true of that, most of us are writing in a script that was created for a language in a different time and that had different sounds. So let's think for a moment about the Roman script used to write English. It was invented for the Latin language, and Latin language has 5 vowels: A, I, U, E, O. A, I, U, E, O, as they are now pronounced in English. 5 different vowels. Now it is true that Latin also has some long vowels and short vowels, but the long vowels are not usually distinguishing the meaning of completely different words. They have functions in grammar as far as I understand. So basically, you can write Latin with 5 vowels. I'm putting up my hand to show the number 5. English, as I speak it, has at least 12 different vowels. And I've written some words there: part, put, pet, pate, pit, peat, pot, port, put. No, sorry. I read it wrong because I'm trying to read it off this screen where it became small. I'll start again. Heart, hut, pat, pet, pate, pit, peat, pot, port, put. There is no poot. Poot doesn't exist as a word in my language, but we have boot, which is nearly the same, and pert. These are 12 different vowels, and you see how we write them in English. we write them by writing AR, ER, OR, or A and then T and E at the end, or EA, or ER. All these different possibilities we have to come up with in order to be, or double O. All these different possibilities we have to come up with in order to be able to express these sounds. Now what you have with Wancho is a script that is created for the language as it is today. This is something that nobody else in this audience has probably experienced, because we are all using scripts created for other languages with different sounds. Some of you must be knowing Assamese, and if you know Assamese, you know that you have Potom So and Dvitiya So. These two symbols are now exactly the same sound. They are written differently, but they sound the same. But the history of them goes back in a different language at a different time when these were pronounced cha and cha, as they still are in Hindi. There are so many other differences between modern Assamese and the languages on which it is based, but the script represents like as if it were an ancient history of the language. So what Banwang has done here is to create something which is not completely unique, because there are some other examples in different parts of Asia, and certainly amongst the Tangsa script now being used in Changlang district. There are some other examples, but mostly people are writing with a script that was created for a language very, very different often from the language that it is writing today. So keep that in mind, because this is important to say of the extent of Banwang's achievement for his community. Now, another issue that Banwang raised is the extent of language diversity in Northeast India, and he gave a figure of 187 endangered languages in India, and I think something like 65 in the Northeast. The fact is, we still have no real idea, because what is the extent of language diversity? Let's just take the example of the Wancho. So Banwang pointed out earlier in his talk that there is a basic division in Wancho between varieties that belong to the Sang clans and varieties that belong to the Dang clans. So you can divide, and Banwang can correct me if I've misremembered this, but actually there's a little bit of difference almost between villages in that part of the world. And in order to really understand how much different language is happening, we need to understand the language at the village level. Some of you are in Nagaland and you will recognize this, I believe, that in different villages, even when the language is same, yet there is some difference. And these differences, maybe we need to understand them, because without these differences, if we do not understand these differences and these languages are lost, then what will remain? So it is, I think, important, and one of the things, I should say, one of the things that I have been very impressed with the work that Banwang has done in his books, the Sedan books that they have created for teaching language. They have stories from different villages, and the stories are written in the language the way it is spoken in that village. It will be a little different from one place to the next. But people in those communities, they can deal with this. They can accept this diversity. They don't need to speak in exactly the same way in every place. So, but even to ask the question or to answer the question, how many endangered languages are there, we have to answer the question, what do we mean by language? So when I visited Longding district in January of this year, we stopped for a short time at one village called Mintong, Banwang will recall, there to investigate for just half an hour or 1 hour how the people in that village speak, because I was told maybe they speak a little differently. And these kind of investigations need to be done across the whole of the Pat Kai Range area. I was recently in Bangkok, in Thailand, attending a conference, and there listened to some talks from people speaking about the Khmer language, about the Konyak language, and about various other languages belonging to Nagaland. One of these talks was from Professor Alec Koop, now at the Nanyang University in Singapore, and he discussed some of the diversity of language in some parts of what is Nagaland, and how from one village to another there can be some significant differences that we still don't fully understand. Okay, so I put at the bottom a list of priorities. Now this is something that everyone here can do, because everyone here has got some kind of mobile phone. Okay, so mine is called a Google Pixel 6, I think, and it makes pretty good photos and videos, but any kind of photo and video and recording that we do on our mobile phone today is already better in quality than anything you could record 40 or 50 years ago. So if you go back to the recordings of von Führer Heimendorf, who made some recordings, or the lady, her name has temporarily gone out of my head, who made some important recordings in Nagaland. Anything that we record today on our mobile phones will be a better quality than what they could make. And it can include colored video easily. Of course, it's better if you have better quality recording equipment, but anything is better than nothing. But recordings are only valuable if they also include what we call metadata. Now, I can't really alter the screen right now, but what I should do is make the word metadata as big as the whole screen, because this is what is on the recording. Who made it, where, when, preferably with what device, and most importantly, what is included in it. Because what we have today is literally millions, excuse me, literally millions of recordings, photographs, videos, millions being made every day, and many of these are being made in different tribal communities, but they are given whatever name the camera gives them, the mobile phone gives them, the cell phone gives them, and then where do they go? Are they going to be put somewhere where they will not get lost? Yes, you could put them up on Facebook, and you could put them up on YouTube, but we don't know whether tomorrow or the next day the YouTube will fall under new management and they will just throw everything away. We have seen what happened with what used to be called Twitter, and the same can happen to those other companies. So we need to have some long-term protection for these things. So make recordings, please, of your own language. Everyone in this audience, I suppose, has got a a relative, a father, a mother, a grandmother, an uncle, a sister or a brother who knows important things about the history or the culture of your different communities. If it's not recorded somewhere else, even if it is, record it. But then you need somewhere to put it. And there are some specialist archives. I would need a little longer than I'm going to take today, since the session is coming to its end. But there are some specialist archives. The Coruscant archive in North America that Professor Chalaya has worked with, and I think some of you have contacts with that archive. The Paradisec archive here in Australia. If you are interested to know about those things, I can speak with you individually. So that whatever you record about the language that you are interested in, about your own language, and or any other language, that smaller language that you can collect information on, do so. And because, as you can see there, I made that note, the social media era means we make huge numbers of recordings, photos, etc. So if you consider my great-great-grandfather, he died in 1906, there is one photo of him. I can't easily find it to show you, or maybe I can, but you don't need to see. There is one photo. It's a beautiful photo of him and my great-great-grandmother. There is a second photo of her, but I don't possess it. But of me, there are thousands, probably tens of thousands of photos. Because if I visit India, not only do I take photos, but many people take photos which I am in. But most of these photos will be lost in the next few years. So if something's important and needs to be preserved, then it needs to be preserved somewhere safe. Okay, because in a few years, most of what is on Facebook and YouTube today probably will just get thrown away. Eventually, people will say, there's too much, you haven't used it for, nobody's looked at this for 10 years, therefore we'll delete it. So please think about that. But the final point that I think needs to be made to follow up on Banwang's really excellent talk is this one. And if there is one thing that I would like to have you all remember from this discussion, it is keep speaking your own languages. So long as you speak your languages will continue to be spoken. So I hope those comments have been of some use to your very interesting session here today. One final point, if you're watching the screen, you can probably see that my name on here is given as Naga New Year Festival. There is a history there because Google is too clever for its own good. And I made a mistake in 2019 when I was uploading all the videos that we took at the Naga New Year Festival at Leshi in Burma, not very far actually from where you are now, just the other side of the Saramati mountain. But I put them in the wrong folder. And so I had to rename the folder that they were in, and ever afterwards Google thinks that my name is Naga New Year Festival. Actually, my name is Stephen Morey. But if I can just repeat that main take-home message, keep speaking your own languages. Thank you.
Check. Thank you, Professor Stephen Moray, for such an insightful presentation. Now, Dr. Uma, over to you.
Thank you, Attila. Oh my God. No, that is not good.
Hello?
First, hello? Can you hear me?
Could you
Yes.
hear all that?
Yes. Thank you, Stephen. First of all, congratulations to Banwang for this wonderful, I must say, accomplishment, because it's not easy to develop a script. I'm also involved in a project on orthography development for Austroasiatic languages. We are working on Lingam and Varjaintia, so I can understand what you might have gone through. I just want to begin my discussion by starting something in my own language. Like Stephen said, one must speak one's own language, right? So I thought, let me take 1 second to say something to you. Ennum eluthum kannenba. I'm going to translate it to you. Numerals and letters are like 2 eyes for a human being. Can you hear, Stephen? Hello? No. Can you hear us, Stephen? He can hear, no problem, that's great. No, he is muted because I'm the one who is speaking. Yes, so I want to repeat what I was saying. Basically, numerals and letters are like 2 eyes for every human being. Imagine if you do not have one of them, you're partially blind. That's what happens to a language that is not written down unto the speakers. If you do not have any system for measuring or any system for writing your speech down, then you are totally blind. So that way, I'm very happy. Out of the several languages present in Arunachal, I think Banwang said 33 of them are endangered. So these languages deserve our attention, and when a community comes forward, it's nothing more merrier than that, because community engagement is very, very important in preserving, promoting a language. Creating orthography, again, involves a lot of steps. I too took some points when you were doing. It's not just creation of some symbols to write your language down. He started with 39 and then 42 and 44 sounds, and then not like matching each sound with a grapheme. It was very interesting to see how he used culturally significant symbols to write them down. I'm not going to repeat what Stephen said, but most important is, if we develop orthography, what happens to your language? It opens doors for literacy, for socioeconomic development, for many more things. Because a community which did not have access for all that will have much more access, especially education, which is very, very important. And also, we develop orthographies or writing systems. How effective is it? That's something we need to know, and that is possible only when we put it to test in all the villages where Wancho is spoken. I'm sure one by one that is being done, because he has showed us the different primers and booklets, what they are developing. Here I would like to quote Smalley's 1959 criteria, which is followed even today in many ways for those of us who are developing orthographies. There are 5 points Smalley puts down. One of them is maximum motivation for the learner. A learner should be motivated to use the script, and the acceptance must be there by the community, the governments and other stakeholders. That's very important. That's the first point. And second, maximum representation of speech. That is what we mean by linguistically sound. So, like you already talked about the vowels and the consonants and of course tones with 3 different tones and how different symbols are being used to differentiate them. That's one thing he has taken care of already. Maximum ease of learning. This part I cannot say because I've not seen it, but I believe with the community and with the different pictures what he showed us, where different groups of people are involved in writing down many of the stories and probably other narratives, and I do not know whether you have published or brought out any dictionary, because that is one important thing to see. Maybe you can tell us. So that is one thing, how easy it is to write, because we need to see how rules are made simple, because oftentimes when we learn a new language, it's very difficult, even for those of you who are speaking unwritten languages, when you want to learn a new script and give a shape or some kind of symbol to your speech. Is it easy to follow? What is the interaction you had with the people and what were their reactions? These are some questions to you. And that is one point. And also, because it's not just only easy to write, we have to also easy to reproduce, because like you rightly pointed out, we are living in the world of artificial intelligence now. So maximum ease of reproduction. It should be easy to typeset or print. That's why I'm happy you came out with Unicode, and which I believe works wonderfully. Another important point is it should be there should be maximum transfer, because you are now developing it for, you have developed it for Wancho, maybe from Wancho to a national or dominant language, because you can use your script to write other languages too. It's a script. So where it's writing one's own language is important, and also to write down other languages. So in other words, what we believe is an effective orthography must be linguistically sound, that means scientific in nature. This I am convinced by seeing the few slides what he put in. Acceptable to all stakeholders, that is political, social and religious. Teachable, that means in the educational domain, and also easy to reproduce. But without these things, it will be very difficult. He chose, I'm glad you chose to use your own methods to develop your script and not relied completely on one script like Roman or a hybrid of Roman and Devanagari or something else, because in Arunachal some of the languages do use Devanagari script, right? So that way I'm very happy to hear that. In the Northeast India, when we see languages and the development, you know very well, like the digital presence of these languages is very, very little compared to other languages. Not like, I do not know how many of them who are outside Northeast even have heard the name Wancho, because it's not that easy. So many languages spoken in the Northeast, many people don't know, like Paula or so many other languages, many languages, Aimol. It's very difficult for people to know like the names of these languages, even from here. How is popular are different, because many people know. So it's important to create as many resources as possible. That would be my recommendation to the developer of Wancho, and as well as the promoters of this language from your community. Create as many resources as possible in print as well as in digital form, so that we can put it for more and more testing. And the more you test, the more it gets refined. Maybe your 44 sounds, I do not know how many symbols you have, because we did not have time to go into the mapping of that, whether 44 sounds have been mapped into how many graphemes, if I may say so, and how you went about doing this, or even what were the other difficulties you had with word boundaries or syllable boundaries, and what happens with the fusion of sounds, for example. So all these things, well, it's not that easy to develop a script. I really admire and congratulate him once again for taking this single-handedly for more than a decade, and now has given it to the world. the whole idea is if you have a script, the people of their community can express their worldviews in their own language instead of saying it to someone like me or you and who would need an interpreter and then we write it down. Many things are lost in such cases. So if they have a script and it's like a very powerful symbol to express their own feelings and also bring out all the indigenous knowledge in different forms which can be shared across the world. With these few words, I would like to now open this talk for questions from the audience. Since we are running out of time, I myself made my speech lot, though I have written some points. But now we can have a couple of questions. Anyone? Yes, Tara? You want someone can mic? No. I can hear you without the mic because you're closer to me. It's okay, you can ask and I will repeat the question for the audience.
I think this works now.
Yes.
My question is for Mr. Losu. Thank you for your talk, first of all. It was illuminating. My question for you is, I think as Dr. Mori had enumerated priorities, keeping in mind the challenges that one usually faces when preserving their language, I want to know specifically about the Wancho script. What were the challenges you faced, either externally or you expect to face, either externally or internally, like Dr. Pappuswamy had mentioned, in terms of the difficulty of learning or whatever it may be, for the students or from the outside in terms of government support or things like that. So what are the few challenges that you see primarily that will get in the way or will be a slight obstruction in the coming years? Thank you.
Challenges. Yeah, there was a lot of challenges in the beginning because I do not know anything about the phonetics. And there was nobody to help me who knows about it. So it was really very challenging, and I sometimes goes to online on this research. And when I was there in university, there was one subject, linguistics and phonetics in English. Out of that, I come to learn a lot of things about the phonetics. Then I compared with that book about especially the tones and the phonetic part. So that's why I took almost 12 years in this research. Then, after publish my first book, I come to contact with a lot of people, linguists especially, and from the America, from that Stephen Morey and other linguist people. Then I went for linguistic course after book publication only. Now so many things are there to be corrected from the first book for next edition. So that was the problem, that to convince the people about this, it was very hard because nobody knows about this, and nobody was believed that we can have this kind of writing system. So people maximum are following English and the Hindi, and this minority language and the modern thing has been neglected since long. That's why to draw the attention was very difficult. But only the few people, educated people, understand about this requirement. That's why they support it and come together. That was the very helpful for mobilization. Is that?
Great, thank you.
Yeah, we have time for only one more
Okay.
question.
It was very interesting that you use cultural symbolisms, which were very emblematic in your culture, and the way you connected with the alphabet. What inspired you to take?
There was, so I wanted people acceptation. I met and they are not, people are not accepted, then it's useless. So I wanted make them easy, understandable, acceptation easily. That's why I trying to use the relevant symbols, which is familiar to them. Then finally, I decided to use the culturally related and well-known symbols in the area, so that they recognize and understand easily.
Thank you. The last question from Jilma.
That's the last question, sorry, we don't have time.
Mr. Losu, I would like to congratulate you for your work.
Thank you, sir.
We can say you are a language hero. Language heroes are people that dedicate all their lives for the future of their languages. And what you presented us here was not the development of a writing system or an orthography only. You have developed a connection between the past, the culture, and a vision of future and technology, proposing the presence of your language in contemporary literacy systems, internet, digital writing, etc., etc. So it's very important what you have done, and I think we have seen here a model how we could work out in diverse languages, having systems that connect education, technology, culture, tradition, and of course this impressive work as linguist that you have done to have the description of phonology of your language, including tones. Thank you very much for your presentation.
I have a question for you, sir. Please. So once I wrote to UNESCO, near about 16 or 17, 2016, 17, something around that year. So that I got a reply that I need to write through proportionate, but I do not know where is proportionate to write UNESCO. And once I was there in Tapayap University, Thailand, and one person, senior officer, who is working on the UNESCO, came from Canada, and there was a lot of activities in Thailand. Even the small villages are occupied by the UNESCO activities, especially for the education purpose. I asked him, we are also lagging behind like this area for education, but activities to UNESCO is zero in my place. What is the reason behind? So he replied, India is not under UNESCO. I do not know why, what is that? And some obstacle is here in India. I do not know what is the obstacle. So there is no obstacle from our side. We invited UNESCO because they have well-equipped. That is a good platform for our languages. So through you, it seems you are a proportionate for me. Yeah. We need the attention of UNESCO for internalists. We have a lot of languages here. Thank you.
So just to reply to your question, Mr. Losu, let's try to get this problem solved, creating the channels of communication between you and UNESCO, because of course India is a member of UNESCO, and India has the proper channels to make these communications go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, just a little change in the announcement. Thank you. Solosu, you're my hero. Amazing work. Thank you for recognizing that, Jilan. I think we all appreciate this amazing man. I also know some of your people, like Michael Everson, who did Unicode. Unicode, for the rest of you, I think is the way in which a script is entered into the computer system. It's a universal thing where, like, something this shaped is always recognized as a 0 or an O, for instance. This is a T. So unless you put the script into Unicode, you will not be able to use a script on smartphones or computers. So what he has done, working with Steve Murray and with Michael Everson, is amazing. What is now in Unicode. So one thing I really liked about what you said is that your Wancho script can be adopted by any other script, language in the Northeast that does not have its own script. And I like that very much. You know, I'm from Manipur. We have Meitei Mayek, revived, also in Unicode. We've published, I myself have published many books in Meitei Mayek, but it has a little bit more of the diacritical elements that you're using. I've also created a new romanization system which will be published this coming year through Corsal in Texas, so we collaborate with them. So it's an ongoing process, but the fact that your language script can be used by other Northeastern languages, I think is a tremendous idea.
Yes, sir. I already told about that. Other people also. If my script, I mean, Wancho script is working to capture your sound, you can also use. There's no problem. And what I have developed writing this system is not to suppress other languages. I'm not talking about that you learn my language. You use my script for your language, not for my language. So you have to document and preserve and use your own mother tongue. We should not suppress others.
Terrific. This is amazing. The reason we're taking a little bit more time is that since we had a bit of technical glitch and we're running a little late, we shared the sad news yesterday that one of our participants from Arunachal is not making it. And so we have requested Madeline Tam, the convener of INTACH from Meghalaya, to please move our Khasi session on the Whistling Village to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I think, right? And so from here we'll go straight to lunch so that we kind of get back on track. So I think we have, shall we take another question from the audience? It seems everyone wants to have something to say.
Yeah, Mr. Wancho.
I thought we were going down, so
All right, so
This is for Mr. Wang.
so who's next? Who has a question? Oh, there we go. Can we get her a microphone, please? Someone? All right, speak up.
Mr. Wancho, you had mentioned that there's desperate need for teachers. So you have a lot of enthusiastic learners, and so I wanted to know how many have you trained in the Wancho script?
Hello. Is it working? Yeah. So since 2019, every year we have conducted workshops. So far we have conducted 5 times workshop,
So in that workshop, more than 200 people used to come and participate. So still, it is teaching in the school. And this year, near about 4,000 children are enrolled in this school. So exact figure I cannot tell you, but it has been more than 6,000 and 7,000. They can read and write.
Amazing.
Wancho.
Thank you.
Thank
Great.
you.
Any other questions? Can we give the, yeah.
Oh, thank you. My comment or question is to the Wancho script master. Okay, my name is Wicham. I'm a linguist. So what I would like to say is, before I ask what I'm going to ask, I personally do not encourage creating a new script. But then this should never influence you positively or happily. This is just my personal opinion. But then I really want to congratulate you about your leadership. I think creation of a new script is not a difficult thing. But then the leadership, starting since 2001 by you, mobilizing people, collaborating with people, that is the amazing thing you did. I'm really impressed by that. My question is, have you thought of the tone alternation? Like a word, the tone of a word may change depending on it occurs. What about that? Little bit, this is technical for the audience. Maybe you may skip that one. But my main question is Unicode. Please tell us a little bit about the encoding process of the Unicode. So for the benefit of the audience, Unicode means without encoding your new script into Unicode, it won't work in TikTok, Facebook, or across platform. So Unicode encoding process is a little longer, but then you have been successful in that. Please tell us about the process, how long you took, who are the people you involve. Thank you.
Yeah, I have already shown in my slide also. The Stephen Mode, first I proposed him in 2012 when we meet, because I know about the importance of a Unicode since this development, script development. So I proposed him that I need Unicode. Then he told me that someone he knows from America. So online we interact with her lady, and then she assigned the Michael version. He know about that, how to propose and make the Unicode. So we put a proposal in 2017, and it took almost 2-3 years, and it was accepted in 2019, and it is the process. So it took time for Unicode. Say, as you have said, if you use other script like Roman or other script, then you will not get Unicode because it is already Art's script. That's why. If you try to modify it, if A is something like that, and that you modified something like this way, and all the later which is modified, then could be you will get Unicode. This is the problem. If your scripts are independent, there is no question of such confusion. You will get definitely. Say Assamese. Assamese didn't get Unicode because their script is similar to Bengali. That's why. So Assamese got Unicode very recently, after ours. Though their language is very rich, very old. Literacy is very rich, Assamese, but there was no Unicode.
Thank you.
This has happened.
Thank you. The Unicode proposal is about, I've seen, is about this thick. It's a whole lot of documentation. One of the problems that Stephen brought up, and you also brought up, is the question of metadata. And since our languages are very small, all the languages in Northeast India are very small, how do you propose to use AI? Because I've written a story using AI, Manipuri Folktale, which will be published next year. But the problem, and I discussed this with Javan also in Delhi when we met, is that we don't have enough data, even though Manipuri is by and large relatively what we call a high resource language. There's not enough data out there. So we have to give a prompt. When we use ChatGPT, and my friend Medha Agarwal in Delhi did this for me because I'm too lazy to learn new technologies. So I said, can you run this through ChatGPT? And we could not use Vinodini as a prompt, as you were jokingly suggested, your mother is a writer, why don't you use it? Google comes to me, I translate, they want all my translations, I said, sure, I'll give it to you, no problem, you know? But there's so, compared to Shakespeare's English or Goethe's German or something, there's so little data that I cannot give a prompt that ChatGPT will recognize. We had to give the prompt as suggested by another friend of mine, Italo Calvino, who wrote Italian folk tales, and said, can you tell this story in the style of Italo Calvino? And then it spat it out. So the question for us, the challenge, problem, even we are working on a text-to-voice as well for Manipuri in Texas, not in Texas, in Virginia, but the problem is that there is simply not enough data yet for the computers to scroll through and to help us with AI, because I do think AI really offers great potential for smaller, endangered traditions and literatures like this. I think, is it 10 o'clock? 1 o'clock? Okay. I don't know where Stephen is still on, but I want to, on behalf of our producing team, which is Imasi Foundation, Media Management Group from New Delhi, with Atul here, and my dear friend Sanjeev Bihari, consultant in Delhi, and of course, Sentila, my queen, Sentila. Wonderful, and really a shout out to you guys filling this auditorium. I'll tell you, Nagaland, you're a class act. Thank you, and thank you to INTACH and everyone here. And here, a final word from Attila. We'll continue the conversation over lunch. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Uma, and thank you, the wonderful Mr. Losu.
Once again, thank you, Mr. Losu, Professor Stephen Murray, and Dr. Uma for such an insightful presentation. We've truly taken everything that